Stay for me, a little family for me. You know I love you for me. Please stay with me, stay with me. A little family for me. You know I love you for me. Please stay with me, stay with me. A little family for me. You know I love you for me. Please stay with me, stay with me. Me, for me, you know I love you for me. Please stay with me. Baby girl, kinda not the way I love you. Every day and night I go still the want you. Let me be your superstar, gonna take you high to the sky. Oh, love don't fly me for me. You want me more fair follow. Uma shisha kara kara, Kimberly Fiasha, you're my one desire. I cannot cheat on you, want you like a fool, oh my baby boo. They got me intoxicated, you are rated as my number one. I cannot cheat on you, want you like a fool, oh my baby boo. They got me intoxicated, you are rated as my number one. For me, I love you for me, please stay with me, every me, all on the family with me. I love you for me, please stay with me. Pretty angel, you are just like a mirror. Your reflections, I say they're everywhere I go. With you I can rule the world, and therefore more. Can I do without you for me? I'm your friend, I cut me. I found you fascinating, your love is captivating. Check your ratings. I cannot cheat on you, want you like a fool, oh my baby boo.
A very warm welcome to all our listeners around the world. You're welcome to the Tokunbo Fernandez show, a show that promotes the true life and success stories of African and Caribbean achievers around the world. So if there's a product or initiative you wish to share, feel free to give us a call on 0788 280 9005. That number once again is 0788 280 9005. And you can also take a few seconds to visit our website at www.tonyfernandez.co.uk. We have some amazing guests lined up this year, 2022. It's all about promoting the true life and success stories of African and Caribbean achievers around the world and promoting the African narrative through the achievements of great people who make a difference to your life every day. So stay tuned and keep on subscribing to our YouTube channel. And this week on the show, we're moving on to Nigeria to speak to another amazing gentleman who is a great community ambassador within the region, within his country. And he will also be contesting for the House of Representatives in the just southeast area of Nigeria. So it's a pleasure to have, for the very first time on the Tokunbo Fernandez show, Honorable Daniel Dalyop. Welcome to the Tokunbo Fernandez show. How are you today?
I'm very fine, Tony. Thank you very much for having me on your platform. It is such an honor to be with you.
And, you know, I'm very sure listeners around the world are dying to know a bit about yourself, your background, and the things you're most passionate about in life as a person.
Yeah. Well, my name is Daniel Dahlia, as you rightly said. I am a Nigerian from the Birom extraction. The Birom are found predominantly in the middle belt areas of Nigeria. For me, I'm from Plateau State, just south local government to be precise, and that's the ethnic nationality of my origin. I am a 44-year-old Nigerian who has lived most of his life in Nigeria, but I've also had the privilege of living and working abroad, particularly the Middle East and Eastern Europe. I have a background that cuts across the ICT, farming, a bit of education consultancy, live in public service, like you rightly said, and that defines, that begins to paint a picture of who I am. I've been a people person all my life, and the life of service is what motivates and inspires me. So for every day I wake up, I ask myself, what other value can I bring to the table so that my people can be better for it? And when I say my people, I'm not just defining my people to be those I pray like, or those I talk like, or those I sing like, or those I walk like. My people are each and every person who is desirous of a better life. So it cuts across it cuts across geography. It is more of a human thing for me.
I mean, being a people's person and being the change you want to see in society is very significant in the world we live in today, especially as we gradually start to prepare for Nigerian elections and the build up coming up. You have decided to contest for the House of Representatives within your region. Um, what was it that inspired you to take this great move? And also, what are your proudest achievements in recent years which people should know about, which will also inspire you into office?
Thank you very much. The biggest inspiration towards this pursuing this aspiration has to do with the need to fill in a gap that has existed over time. What is this gap? It is a gap that speaks about inadequate representation of the people. It is a gap that speaks about the need of the people being met over and over again, or for instance, not maximizing the opportunities that such platforms provide for all of us. So why am I going for the House of Representatives? Because I feel that this is the best shot for me at this moment to be able to get a platform that I'll leverage to affect the lives of my people. My people are predominantly agrarian. Yes, we have the benefit of being part of a cosmopolitan setup, but that is just half of my constituency. My constituency includes Jos South and Jos East. Now, Jos South happens to be the de facto state capital. And so you'll assume and expect that life is going to be a little much better than it is in other agrarian or semi-urban areas. What I have seen over time is a deficiency of leaders to speak to the issues. No disrespect for my forebears who have been in that office before me. All I'm saying is that the approach has not given us the desired result. What are the results we want? We want results that are both qualitative and fast in achieving. We have not been able to define what our lowest hanging fruits. How do we just lift up our hands and pluck those? We've not been able to sit with the people, aggregate their thoughts and opinions, and see what their needs are, to be able to also structure it into short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals of the constituency. What we've had over time is sadly the people who assume that what they know should be what the people want. But that has not given us an opportunity for people to be part of the process, to feel or to take ownership of it. So what we bring in now is a solution that involves everybody, or not really everybody, but then a wider gamut of the people wanting to share their thoughts, agree on the approach, and we all sit back and see the results coming. If by happenstance we are not able to meet that, the people again, knowing that this is their project, will see it and say, okay, the initial design is flawed, or is no longer reasonable, or is no longer achievable. Let us see it again and do it. What we bring is a solution that is going to entail and involve everybody being part of it, so that together we win or together we sink, God forbid.
I mean, speaking to Nigerians around the world, especially, it's always important in politics to be the change you want to see in society and also take the bulls by the horn. How important is it today in Nigerian politics to take the bulls by the horn?
It is very important, because the world gives way to people who know where they're going to. Ideas rule the world. If in the past we have been guided by emotions or sentiments, we have woken up and seen that it took us nowhere. Now is the time for us to allow ideas, superior reasoning, to dictate and determine our direction. And I've been part of that process over time. I've had the privilege of working in the public and the private sector, and I see how the marriage between these two very important but broadly divided sectors can be to the people. For instance, working in the private sector, I have seen how public service and public life should be approached as business. But you know, and you will agree with me that that has not been the case in Nigeria. And I mean, even in sub-Saharan Africa, people assume that government is an abstract elsewhere, that government is not really us. So when you invite people into public service, their approach is totally different from what is entailed in the private sector. And you begin to ask yourself, why is it that the private sector is able to break even? But in public service, we keep pushing the can down the road. And at the end of the day, we keep bequeathing the legacy of irresponsibility and non-fulfillment of promises to people. It is high time we change that. So coming from the public sector background, I've been part and parcel of designing policies, formulating policies, and even executing those. I give you an example. Here in Plateau State, we have what we call the Plateau Information Technology Development Agency. I co-chaired the board, I co-chaired the body that designed that policy. We happen to be the first information and communication technology development agency in Nigeria. We have had people come from other parts of the country trying to come and understudy what we did and see how they can also replicate that in other parts. So I believe that if we have another platform, a higher one, a national platform like the House of Representatives, will be able to inject these ideas into people and begin to also tap into the saying that data or knowledge is the next oil. We are surely going to be diversifying our thought patterns and our economic base from what used to be to what should be going forward. The industrial revolution that we've seen over time came and overtook Nigeria simply because we were not ready. We cannot afford not to be ready again. And that is why we need to ensure that whatever we're going to be doing is going to fit, even if not catch up. Let us at least be following them a step behind. But again, I know that we have what it takes to even lead the way. But unfortunately, we've not started early. The next best time for us to start it is now, so that going forward, the next generation coming after us will be able to have that advantage to be able to also go and lead the world in these areas. Now, that is talking about the public sector. In the private sector, I've also happened to work over there. And like I said, our approach to issues must be totally changed. We can no longer afford to do business as usual or adopt a trial and error, mindset towards issues. Things must be scientifically thought about, analyzed properly, given timeframes. Everything we need to do should take a project management approach so that we have our goals, we have our timelines, we set parameters in which we can also self-assess before the time or self-analyze before the time comes. This and many more are things that I think we will be able to inject into the society and make our people better. What do our people really need? Our people are basically agrarian. We need to begin to find ingenious ways of adding value to agriculture. Agriculture, like we used to know it, is basically subsistence. But we've traveled out and we've seen people make money out of agriculture. Why is it that ours is different? In Plateau State, where I come from, we have a rich deposit of ability and capacity to feed the entire nation when it comes to Irish potatoes. We have other tubers like the sweet potatoes. We have grains like maize and millet and rice. We have all those. We have vegetables like the best tomatoes in this country are from Jos. It is no fluke that we're being referred to as tomato Jos. But how has tomato Jos added to the Naira and Kobo in our pockets or in our bank accounts? This is the narrative we need to change. Deliberately injecting new value into the agricultural chain. We need to begin to think of processing. We need to begin to think of how we can keep these things, these perishables, from getting bad after harvest 3 or 4 days. We need to begin to think of how we can convert this raw materials, this fresh vegetables into processed foods that are going to be healthy for our consumption. In doing that, we don't just create jobs for the direct farmer, but even for those who are found along the chain. These are things that we think we should be able to do. Plateau State is also blessed to have an amazing deposit of mineral resources. We're talking about the tinted columbites, name it. They are all in Plateau State. But how have we been able to, as people of Jos South and Jos East constituency, have been able to tap into that and ensure that we don't just mine and export? How do we mine and process so that the extra dollars that somebody elsewhere would have been getting we now turn it into what we are going to be getting. It is amazing to see the talent, to see the resources at our disposal. But the only thing that has been missing is somebody who is going to speak to those things, somebody who will be able to attract attention to those things, so that we force ourselves to the discussion table and ask ourselves again for ourselves, how do we maximize the potentials, not just for us today, but the generation that's going to be coming after us? Because if we do not do that, there is a direct connection between income and insecurity, opportunities and insecurity, education and insecurity, health and insecurity. So each and every one of these things has a direct implication on our security or lack of it. And if we do not begin to check these issues, then the backwardness that has been associated, unfairly for that matter, with us needs to be changed. And we cannot expect anyone again to come off a ship, either in Lagos or in Accra, to come and show us how to do it. God has already embedded our minds with so much ability and so much knowledge that all we need to do is to be committed and agree that this is what we want and go ahead to do it. My brother Tony, you are doing an amazing job out there. You don't have two heads. You're able to achieve what you've been able to achieve within the shortest period of time because there's a system that works. We have to replicate this system at home. And it is going to be unfortunate if those of us who have had the privilege of of living abroad don't come back home to replicate this. It's going to be unfortunate if those of us who know what the issues are and do not inject or invest our time and resources in trying to look for solutions for those reasons, for those issues, God will not even forgive us. The society will not forgive us. We'll not be able to sleep with our two eyes closed because the other people who we've shortchanged by denying them the good of our reasoning are out there trying to take that little which we have. And we can't really blame them. We all have ourselves to blame. And because we no longer want to continue the blame game, it is very, very important that we started it today. Even if we do not achieve or accomplish all of it, let us, for God's sake, show them that there is a way we can do it. And we've already set the ball rolling. It is ready to continue pushing it till we get to the goal post.
Talking about knowing what the issues are, talking about timelines, talking about goals. If elected into office, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
First and foremost, it is to aggregate the thoughts and opinions of the people, give them a sense of belonging. I am just but one messenger representing your interest. I'll be leaving just to go to Abuja, where I'll be meeting with 359 other representatives. What do you want me to tell them? This is the shortest term goal. Letting the people know. Our people have erroneously assumed that elections start and end when they go and vote. No, the average human being is lazy, not until he or she knows that you are measuring him or her, or that you're assessing him or her. He will just go and relax. But if the people know the powers that are within them, if they know that just going to vote is the beginning of the process, that they have a duty to make sure that those things that they've agreed to be done are done, if they know that they have the power to recall you when you are not delivering at par, then they will be able to do that. So the shortest term goal for us is rewiring the people's mindset as far as election is concerned, as far as public office is concerned, as far as being a messenger is concerned. Once they know that, you've equipped them. And in equipping them, you're also making yourself to rise up and be accountable, because you know that you are no longer dealing with docile electorates, but you're dealing with electorates who know what their powers are. That is the lowest hanging fruit. The other one is to, like I said, aggregate their thoughts and opinions. Go to that platform and speak to those issues. What are our areas of comparative advantages as a people? Because Nigeria cannot afford to move without Plateau State, or cannot afford to move without my own constituency. But when I take my issues to the National Assembly and discuss them, the quality of my reasoning, the strength of my debate, the depth of my thoughts, that is going to now transform into what becomes the medium term. And the long term is to define and design a tradition whereby those coming after me will have no reason than to sit up, because we're going to be setting the bar so long and so high that anybody who wouldn't be able to fit into that shoe will not even think of coming to contest. So for me, these are the three: getting the people involved, speaking to the issues, and setting the bar very, very high, so that the quality of our representation is going to be enhanced. And we cannot allow anybody to come and tell us how to do this. We have what it takes, and we have to do it for ourselves.
And this is something people don't really speak about so much. But
because it is convenient. It is convenient for them to represent or to rule or to govern over people who are not so aware. You and me know that if it's 7 a.m., we have to be out of bed because we need to go and work to get the, to make money. If we can just sleep in our beds and get money, we wouldn't go out. It's the same thing. If you know that you have a docile electorate who wouldn't hold you accountable, you would have no reason than to be docile to, or than to just be irresponsible. But if you know that your electorates know what it means to be there and have set parameters for you and have set targets for you and have put timelines for you, and you know that if you don't deliver, there's going to be repercussions, then you have no reason than to stand up, than to wake up and do that which they've sent you to do. So yes, the average leader would rather have a docile followership. But docile followership, docility within the ranks of our followers has not pushed us to give our best. And we have to change the narrative by deliberately putting ourselves right at the firing line, saying, this is what I should be doing to you. You have a duty to hold me by these words and judge me by, at the end of the term. In other climes, for instance, in the United States of America, they have midterm elections, which come after 2 years. Sadly, we don't have that in Nigeria. So the people have nothing but 4 years to change or to tweak their leaders. They cannot, 4 years is such a long time to waste. If you cannot get it right within the first 2 years, then you have no business asking them to renew your mandate after 4 years. But if you're able to deliver from the first 2 years, then you have every moral right to approach the people again and say, okay, I have been able to judiciously use your mandate for this term. Please give me another term. And that is not going to be based on any form of sentiments, religious, political, ethnic, or otherwise. We have seen the place, the dangerous trends that sentiments have brought to our lives. We can no longer be guided or led by sentiments. You either are able to do it or you're not able to do it.
What does integrity mean to you as a person? And how important is integrity in Nigerian politics?
For me personally, integrity is the foundation upon which I base my aspiration. Because if you do not have integrity, if your words cannot be taken to the bank by the people you speak them to, if you're not able to look at people in the face and tell them, I am sorry I did wrong, or no, gentlemen, we can do it and we're going to do it. If you don't have that, then you don't have any basis, not just in public service, but even in existing within your own community. Because your next door neighbor should be able to depend on your words, to be able to know that when you say yes, it is yes, and when you say no, it is no. Unfortunately, that has not been the hallmark of our society over here. And again, I don't blame our forebears. I don't blame the people. I'm just blaming the system and the society upon which they found themselves. And again, we've agreed that it hasn't paid the bills for us. It hasn't given us that advantage that Nigeria as a country should have been enjoying within the Committee of Nations. And that has to change. So yes, integrity has been in short supply, but then we have now and today to begin to change the narrative, to insist that if you do not possess it, then you don't have any business being part of the builders of this country. Because integrity should not also only be limited to the leaders or those who are pushing themselves to be led. No, the leaders are surely a product of the people. So if you have leaders that are devoid of integrity or who do not put premium on it, check the followership. So while we talk to the leaders, while we talk to the aspiring leaders, while we talk to the elites, we also have to remind ourselves, those of us at the lowest rung, that we also need to live our life, a life that displays integrity. In doing that, we'll be able to cross the Rubicon.
For the benefit of all our listeners listening around the world today, what would you say are your core values as a person? And what's your long-term vision for your constituency?
Like you asked earlier, integrity is one of my core values. I am a people person, and you cannot live with people and live properly if they cannot trust you. Empathy is one of those. Smart working is another of my core values, because I believe that as a community, we We don't have to work hard. We just need to work smart. God did not place us on this earth to be hard workers. No, He placed us on this earth as tiny as the volume of the mind is. It is supposed to control this wide thing we see as our body. So that is the core value. My long-term plans for the people is to be able to redefine what public service is. Like I said, we're in this sorry state because we've not really defined it. We see it as an all-comers event where everybody just comes, says, I'm a Christian or I'm a Muslim, I am from Calabar, I'm from Jos, and he gets support. He gets the support of the people. No, it is the value you bring to the table. So we need to redefine what public service is. That is one of my long-term goals. And I also want to see myself going all through the forum as far as public service is concerned, so that it shouldn't just be in the House of Representatives. And of course, in public service, it also should not only be reduced to running or contesting for an elective position. No, even within your community, that is also public service. So the platform does not really matter if at all it's public service. But having gone past a platform, it is just normal that you want to elevate and rise, along the ladder, because the bigger the platform, the better the reach. But again, public service does not depend on the platform.
I mean, on a very personal note, what initiatives are you working on at the moment that you feel our listeners in Nigeria and around the world should know about?
I'm currently working on a placement initiative, and this has to do with not unearthing, because the resources already have been unearthed. It is about properly placing these resources where they ordinarily will be maximized. For instance, I have a group of athletes who have not been polished over time. That is a project that we initiated some 2 weeks ago, and we are working towards seeing how we're going to push them towards the limelight. You see people go to Lagos, run marathons, and come first or second, competing against world-renowned long-distance runners from Ethiopia, Kenya, or other places. You see them come tops, but then that is the end of it. We want to see how we can prolong the conversation around their performances. Now we don't need to leave, we don't need to always depend on government to do that. As a community, we will be able to push that. And it's something we've started conversations around. Placement. Our people have had the blessings of going through school, but unfortunately, they've not been absorbed or properly placed in areas where their mental strength can be maximized and put to the greater good of humanity. We are also knocking on doors, asking questions. Why are people not in those places? And again, when I say my people, I don't just reduce it to those who talk like me or pray like me. I'm talking about generality of human beings. Those who have done their best to get what they've been asked to get, but have not been able to be absorbed by the system. This is a project that I hold dear to myself and to my heart. And by the grace of God, we've been able to get people placed in those places. It is not all we can do, but then it is the best we are doing at the moment. And like I've always told people, I may not do everything that you want, but I promise that I'm going to do my best, and my best is going to be measurable.
Talking about doing your best and wrapping up on a very final note, I would like you to take the opportunity to speak to all our listeners around the world and tell them why it's important to vote for Honorable Daniel Dahlia in the coming elections.
Once again, Tony, before I speak to the listeners all over the world, let me thank you very much for this platform, because without it, I wouldn't be saying the next few things I'm going to be saying. And now, to our listeners all over the world, I present myself as an option, as a very, very viable option, an option that has done it over time and has the capacity to do it over and over again going forward. All I need is your support, and it shouldn't just be support at the polls, no, even support beyond, because I wouldn't want to be a lazy representative who is not answerable to anybody. And I can only be answerable to you when you ask me questions. So go out and vote for me, and please, it shouldn't end there, because together we can get this done in the shortest of all times. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And speaking about being answerable to the populace, if people want to reach you, interact with you, collaborate, share ideas, are there social media platforms out there that people can reach you on?
Yes, very well. On Facebook, I am on Daniel Dalyop. That's the page name. On Twitter, we're on Resurgence 2023. On Instagram, we're on Resurgence 2023. And on WhatsApp, we're on 0811. That's +234 811 356 3081. I take that again. +234 811 356 3081. We're reachable on all those platforms.
And very finally, what's your last message for all our listeners, Africans and Caribbeans around the world today?
It's going to be a sin to God and humanity if we do not dig deeper to bring out that which God has embedded in us for the goodness of our people. We can't continue to remain in our shells. There's so much in the African and the Caribbean blood, and that much needs to be pushed out. Nobody's going to push it out for us except we do it ourselves. This is the right time.
This is the right time, and it's always a pleasure to share in your initiatives. And I'm sure that God will guide you strength in time to come. God bless you and speak to you soon.
Thank you very much, Tony.